Hey, we have today is an afternoon shave. Didn't shave last night. If I wait till tonight, it'll be a 2-day growth. I don't want that quite as much because of this old blade that I'm going to use. So I'm going to dampen that a little bit by shaving in the middle of the day, and then when I shave later, it'll also be a 1.5-day growth-ish. So the Sheraton, since I'm using my Nacet blade that is so old, this razor just seems to have the right geometry for my skin. If you do something like this, number one, you may have a different blade that you take this far. You also may have another different razor that just suits you better. So these are not magic combinations by any means, from what I understand. Here's that Nacet, and we've got 50 dots on this side, and then enough to make 143 on this side. So today is 144. The soap we'll be using is from Wickham, Shamrock Tweed. This is their version, their scent that's inspired by Green Irish Tweed, a classic, awesome cologne worn by some famous guys. It's a pretty hard soap, and I used it a couple days ago, and I tell you what, it's an economical soap in a big way. You can use half as much of this soap as you do many of the other artisans out there. And so when this guy costs $18 and another soap that's, better or top tier costs $22, that's more anyway. But when you consider you can get twice as many shaves out of the same amount of soap of the Wickham 1912, that makes it a really good deal comparatively. So they, in this particular sample, they just gave me a little clod here, and I just need to use I'm just going to try to do 1/8 of a teaspoon, because 1/4 of a teaspoon gives me like 3-4 extra passes. The brush I'm going to use today is this 2000. This is the Semogue 2000. It's got nice long Boar bristles. They are so long, in fact, that I had to put a couple of O-rings on there to rein them in, keep them focused on my face instead of being too out there. Feel more of the bristles when I've got the O-rings because it's holding them in. All right, and it's been soaking now quite a while because I thought I was going to shave last night, and I didn't, and so I pre-soaked it like I usually do. I did not come and get it, and so it's actually been soaking for 20 hours, 18 hours, something like that. But it's just had 12 uses, so this will help it to move along. All right, so splash water on my face. I want to put the blade, well, hey, since it's a really old blade, let me show you. There's a few people who doubt how many uses I've gotten out of this blade, and that's okay. In a way, it's kind of hard to believe, but this is that old, the same Nacet. This is the top side, still looks in great shape. This is the bottom side, and it's even still got some hairs on there from 2 days, from yesterday. And you can see some of the kind of tea staining, if you will, just a little bit. And I am going to put that in the Sheraton. I'm going to take that. Here's that little X right there that I always show you. That goes down. And at the end, when I want to be done with this blade, I'm going to flip it over, see if it shaves any different. All right. I'm going to pause you while I can go ahead. Bit of water on my face. And then here's my lather bowl, 3D printed design by Roger Quintero. Link will be in the description if you want to grab those files and find a way to print it yourself. And I am going to take a second and squeeze that little amount of soap into my 1/4 teaspoon measure, and I'll only fill up half of this. All right, got it pressed into the bottom. I'm going to take my very soaked brush, long time soaked. These bristles are saturated. Shake out most of the water. It's just kind of the way I do it. You are welcome to figure out your own method. And I'll tell you the amount of water I use in terms of teaspoons. I'll tell you the amount of soap I use. But I'm not saying that that's the way everybody needs to do it. I do it that way because sometimes there's beginners out there who haven't quite figured it out, and they have no clue how much soap to use. There was, I read about somebody who got a cream, like a Taylor of Old Bond Street cream or something like that. It's a tub of cream, and they were just getting their brush in there, and you only need about an almond size amount of that cream, and actually of most soaps, almond size amount is about right. But they were probably loading about, 15 times as much onto their brush because they just didn't know. And so they were having lather problems, because that means you would need to add 15 times as much water as you normally would need to add, Now, one nice thing, see, this brush, since its bristles are just so splayed out and so soft and very comfortable, you might be concerned, is this brush going to pick up enough soap from the tub? Like if you have a tub of soap and you're loading up, is this going to be too soft? Well, hooking it into a measuring spoon like I just did, even if you have a full tub, can sometimes be a good solution for that, because you can just scrub on it like I'm doing until it's off the bottom of the bowl. You don't have to worry, do I need to load for 30 seconds? Do I need to load for 60 seconds? There's no mystery. You just keep loading, keep rubbing what you pressed into the bottom until it's integrated into your lather. So sometimes that's a great way to go, but with tiny samples like I showed you, this is really the only way to do it. I've had great lathers from the 1912 Wickham soaps. Really nice lathers. A couple of the scents have been nice. One that I was really hoping would be good turned out to be just too faint. It just didn't smell strong enough. Well, I couldn't smell it very well while I was shaving. So we'll see how this guy goes. Yep, that's really similar to the Green Irish Tweed scent. And here's the neat thing. Stirling has done a copy of this. So many people have. WSP has done this. Mystic Water. So many people have duplicated it because it's so popular and enjoyable. And the good thing is that most of the time they don't do an exact copy. Why is that good? Well, sometimes you find that, wow, Stirling's version is more grassy or more woody. And that may be something goes right along the lines of your preferences. And so that's pretty cool. So sometimes you may explore a good scent that you like and try it out in different soap bases, different companies, and one might have it tweaked right along your preference lines. Executive Man by Stirling, Sellout by Declaration Grooming, Emperor by Razor Rock. That's all Aventus by Creed, inspired by that particular cologne. And there are definitely more people who have done that scent, more makers. Fine Platinum is in that same family. So you can try those guys out. Sometimes find one that just is exactly what you're hoping to have it smell like. Nice big old, and this is just from such a tiny amount of soap. Really like this soap line. I'm going to refill my syringe. So now we have 2.5 teaspoons of, let's go ahead and put in another. So 3 teaspoons of water in this soap. I'm pretty sure I can push this nicely. Don't have to worry about not going too slow, at least at this point. This is also a shave where I might have some interruptions. So I might have a knock at the door, or a kid hollering, or I've skinned my knee or something like that. So bear with me if I have to pause you. This handle is a short little guy. He's kind of stout. He does get a little slippery when he gets soapy, and so I just rinse it off, and that helps to grip because he is small. I've got long fingers, and he's kind of small. So I believe that I like this brush a lot, this knot, and so this may be one that I saw this handle off, put it in a nice another handle, a little more ergonomic. Yeah, see, now this, look at that pillowy, look at that stretch, look at that elasticity. Those are some things to look for. Now look at that right there. See, he's able to support his own weight as he sticks out to the side that way. That's something to notice. And once you notice some of these markers, you can kind of figure out where you like your own soap, because where I like mine may not match you. I think this thing can still take some more water. When in doubt, stop a little bit early. However, if you find a really good base that you like, I say take a shave and push it far. Push it until it breaks, so that you know. Because then you can, kind of know a little bit where the line is, be able to back off from it just a hair, if it's a soap base that you really enjoy. But if you stop early, then you can still add water to your face. You can still add water to the lather and the brush during the shave. And so it's easier to rescue a lather that's too dry than one that's too wet. If it's too wet and it's too thin and watery, a lot of times that's still slick enough to shave with. I've done that many times. But what you can just do is almost treat it like a face lather, where you just go back to the puck, richen up your brush a little bit, and then go at it. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and try this guy out. We've got tons, look at that elasticity. We've got tons of lather. Let's see if this big, yeah, watch that. Look at the behavior of that guy. I think I like the appearance of that. So let's try it out. A little water on my face. I'm not going to be surprised if this first pass, since it's thicker than usual, longer than usual, I may have a little bit more tugging than usual. Now I bet these tips, after having soaked for so long, I bet they are going to be soft. And sure enough, now there is a little bit of backbone there to give you a nice scrub. Keep those tips on your face. I'd say it's mid to slightly below mid in terms of backbone. But the cool thing is, once you count for the density of bristles, you might even consider it a mid backbone brush. But I'm getting a lot of great feel, nice soft tips from this. All right, now I'm gonna go back in and just pick up a little bit more lather, lay it down. All right. All right, Nacet, 144 uses. Here we go. The Russian leather may be the scent from this company that has been my favorite one so far. Classic 24. That's the one that I shaved with 2 days ago, I think, or 1 day ago. and it had this great scent of woodiness. Not much more than that. There were a lot more scent notes in the description than I actually smelled. But it was so light that it was virtually unscented. That's great for some folks. First pass down. A little bit more tugging than usual, but nothing to worry about. All right, so let's load up the brush. Nice creamy lather we have here. Good mix, it looks like. Some people might like it a little denser, a little creamier, but I like it about as wet as I can get it and still have it be referred to as creamy. So sometimes I go over the line and it's not creamy. That's why I take notes cross grain now. My cheeks grow north-south. So going like this is across the grain. And if you're new, we are not trying to take off all the hair in any one pass. Just kind of reducing it gradually. And that gives us more comfortable shaves. However, here's the rule about shaving. It's your shave. So if you want to try to take it off all in one pass, maybe by doing some buffing like this, here's what I want to get. Just kind of a bunch of little passes like that, a bunch of little strokes. If you did that, you might be able to do it all in one. You know, some people do that. But the bottom line is, do you feel good about the shave afterwards? Does your face feel good? Did you enjoy it? Was it the kind of shave you want? And that's the only rule. Anything that gets you to that point is fair game. If you like 4 passes, 5 passes, whatever floats your boat. Now, somebody may look at your routine and say, well, you know, you're doing this and it's not as efficient as it could be. You may be wasting product or time. And, you know, that may be true, but if that's up to you, you can still decide, yep, I don't mind wasting some product. I don't mind taking 10 minutes longer. This is, for many of us, is more than just a task we do every day. Just a meditative quality to it. Sometimes if you're having a hard time, you have a ritual that you do every day that can kind of help you feel more normal, help you feel like, you know, you've got something sometimes to look forward to that day, or just something you did that day for yourself. You took care of yourself. You know, maybe you're depressed and you can't do very much, but what if you were able to get up and shave every day? Sometimes little things like that matter a lot. Sometimes it's a good step toward, you know, emotional health, and especially if you're a busy person. You know, taking a second to taking several minutes out of your day just to kind of slow down might be good for you. Certain soaps can evoke memories, take you back to times in your life. You could use it. All right, rinse. All right, last pass. Face feels good. A little bit of irritation. I think I must have been a little careless. In one little spot on my neck, that is kind of prone to it. Man, this brush, soft as a cloud. I mean, badgers do get softer, but this is crazy soft, guys. And so, and it's less than 20 bucks. If I had to use this brush for the rest of my life, I would be fine with it. Really. So yeah, while you'll always find a badger brush that is softer than the softest boar, that doesn't mean that you can't find a boar that's just knocks your socks off with the softness. And it's probably due to the fact that I let it soak for too long, maybe a few more times than I should have. But this is where it would arrive eventually, maybe a month down the road, 2 months down the road, something like that. All right. So this guy's just a really nice, enjoyable brush. And use number 144 is almost in the books. Just kind of buffing over to see if I missed any spots. In between passes, I do take my towel and I kind of dab it on my goatee a little bit to make sure that all that water that can be stored in the goatee doesn't flush out my lather. That's something to be aware of. And now these hairs here go this way. And so my first pass, I kind of have a slant that's in that direction-ish. Now my third pass, I come back, I'm still doing a cross grain, but it has a slight direction against that flow. And that way I avoid, I don't want to do a stroke like this because the valley, you know, the razor, the edges would be touching, but then the center wouldn't touch the center part of my neck, and that would just kind of, these corners might dig in too much or something like that. So you have to be a little tricky on the curvy spots. All right, I think we are golden. Good shave. Rinse out, razor. Got to give it a shake. Put this over here to wipe it. I wipe the razor. I put the blade just on a hand towel and just kind of dab it. But since it's the one I'll be using tomorrow, sometimes I don't do anything like that. I just open it up just a little bit, let some air flow, try to shake some drops out as much as I can, and put it to the side. But also, if you leave your blade in the razor, you got to worry about kids and things like that. So that's really most of the time. Most of the things when I put my blade away, that's why I do it, because of I don't want the kids to find my razor. Even if it were to, you know, fall down, they were to stand up and get it up on a shelf. You know, I just don't want to store them together. So scent strength is something I've been talking about with this base. And again, this is a lightly scented soap. If you put the bowl up in your face, you're going to smell it, and it's going to be mid-range. But when I'm using the product, it is a bit on the light side for me. I'd rather it be a little bit stronger, just a little bit. So I'd say maybe a 3 or 4 in terms of scent strength out of 10. It's kind of my scale. This is a scent that, to me, it can be overpowering if it's too strong. So it might be good that it's a little bit low, because if you were shaving with this every day, if it was too much stronger, it might kind of wear on you a little bit. So this might be right where it needs to be for this cologne, for this type of scent. How much water did I use? Looks like 3.5 teaspoons for that. And I tried to get 1/8 of a teaspoon, maybe a hair more, but I still have probably 2 passes of lather left. So it's a great economical soap. You get a lot for your money. Very, very nice. I mean, even Stirling, you buy it and you get almost 6 ounces. And so in that sense, you're getting more for your money, but you do have to use the whole 1/4 teaspoonful to get enough lather. Whereas this guy, you can use half as much, and you just don't get as much as you do with Stirling. So it's similar. I think many people might not realize how similar it is for Stirling in terms of cost per value. It might even have a slight edge on it. And I think they both perform wonderfully. Stirling obviously has the advantage when it comes to matching products like balms and bath soaps and lotions and things like that. But they both perform really well, in my opinion. And I don't want to forget to say, I can't remember if I mentioned it or not, but Stirling's version of this Green Irish Tweed scent is called Sharp Dressed Man, one of my favorites from Stirling. So now I believe all of my brushes have come up to maybe 12 uses with this particular today's use. So that'll be neat to start over on this cycle, watch them grow. Since this guy soaked for so long, I'm really curious as to how he's going to look once his tips dry, because it's that drying process that splits the tips. That's where you're going to get a lot of that comfort. Man, he's a great brush. See, he's got some flop, some bend, and it bends easy, but see, he snaps even at fully wet here. Well, I mean, I did just drop it on the towel there, but he snaps right back, and so I think this is a wonderful brush. And if you break it in like I did, which is soaking it for 1 to 3 hours before use, for me that was great because it was comfortable and enjoyable to use after just 3 or so uses. It was great. And for the post shave, what better time to break out some Stirling Sharp Dressed Man Balm. Smell is just really very close. I'm glad, because this is a scent that my wife likes too. No irritation today. Nice close cut as well. So that old blade is still able to deliver. Now, if you don't have just the right razor to put it at the right geometry that will let you go this far, then, you know, that's the way it goes. But one of the reasons that I'm doing these blade marathons is just to show people that little 5 shave rule or 7 shaves that a lot of people say that's when you need to throw away a blade. In many cases, it's just not true. Even if I was using a mild razor, the whole spectrum, they can easily go 30 uses or something like that if you just change your perspective about how sharp it needs to be, because it can still perform really well. So yeah, I'm really impressed with the cut that I am continue to get from this razor. I think most people, when they throw a razor blade away after 5 or 7 uses, they'd agree that if you held it and you touched it, it's still very sharp. I think most people just get used to that feeling of just buttery smooth, sharpness that gives way to something just a little bit less keen, but still is really, really usable and delivers great shaves. And in fact, can give you some comfort if you push forward just a little bit where the blade smooths out. With certain razors, that can be really advantageous. If you have an aggressive razor that you're kind of afraid of, sometimes it nicks you because it's so aggressive, use a blade 20 or 30 times, then stick it in there. You'll find that it's a little bit smoother. That may turn that aggressive razor into something that you really enjoy using. An option for you. All right, so I got an excellent shave. Really happy with it. The balm just matches really well. Just a light scent, not super strong. And the Sheraton did great. Really happy with this brush. Glad I brought that into the rotation because it's got a kind of a thicker, fuller, longer knot than the other Semogue brushes that I have in this Boar-a-thon. And no, I don't think that the Shamrock Tweed is going to be the Wickham soap that I buy the full tub of. Maybe if it was a little bit stronger, but I don't know. It's a scent that I like. I think it's something I might get a little overdone if I wasn't careful. And so maybe that Russian leather, maybe the Magnum. I can't remember which one of those I liked more. I'll have to look at my notes. Anyway, hey, I hope there was something here that helped you out. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and have a good day.